Before the T-Virus, before the Raccoon City incident, and before the birth of modern-day bioweaponry, there was just a single flower, which resided somewhere in West Africa. Known as the Stairway of the Sun, this flower belongs to the Asteraceae family of flowering plants, a family where you would find sunflowers. Yet, unlike sunflowers, the Stairway of the Sun holds a dark secret within its unique biology, the Progenitor Virus. This led scientists of what would become Umbrella to study it in its natural habitat and refine viral samples for shipping. This is the origin of evil in the Resident Evil game franchise. Hey y'all, it's been a while. Well, I'm back from the dead, and I've got a lot planned for you. So, in this video, I'll be breaking down the Progenitor Virus. We will be looking at the great-grandfather of virus-based bioweaponry, how it works, who discovered it, and touch a bit into how this flower-based virus gave rise to the horrors we have come to fear and love. Part 0. The Ndipaya. Deep in West African marshlands, near what is known as the Kijiji Autonomous Zone in modern day, there resides a tribe known as the Ndipaya. This, however, is not your normal everyday tribe. Instead, this is a tribe which has survived since the ancient times of Africa. While their ancient origins are still considered lost to time itself, here is what we do know of their history within said region. What can only have been thousands of years ago, ancient Ndipayan tribesmen on the edge of the marshlands discovered a cave. Within that very same cave, they discovered flowers, which, despite the conditions, were a bloom. Yet, not all of these flowers were created equally. Some of these flowers, which resided in a very unique location of the cave, harbored a deep-set secret. Yet, this tribe was hungry and took to occasionally eating the flowers. Though, while most did not carry this dark secret, some of which did were eaten. This caused them, the various tribesmen, to succumb to fatal illnesses and in some cases even perish. However, one man who ate of them did no such thing. Instead, this man survived his diet and seemed to evolve beyond what was humanly possible. Soon after, the tribe began to regard these flowers as sacred and divine in their very nature. They took to believing that those who ate of the special flowers and survived would become gods among their people and thusly their divine ruler. And while many did eat and become divine rulers throughout their history, as is suggested, one such ruler is said to have lived for several centuries before perishing after having ate of the flower. Under this era, their tribe took to building a complex underground city within the cavern and seemed to have far more complex understanding of engineering than what should have been available in that time and region. This allowed them not only to create massive city, but also complex traps utilizing the very sunlight as lasers of death and also puzzle keys to lock away certain parts of their city. They also constructed a unique garden known as the Garden of the Sun, where they would cultivate the flowers and keep them hidden from outsiders. This garden also held a staircase to it, which then led them to naming the very mysterious flower the Stairway of the Sun. Yet, of course, while they did enjoy hundreds to thousands of years of very great prosperity, as well as evolution unheard of in that era, all was not well. While it is currently unknown how it happened, various animals within their kingdom had eaten of or been fed the Stairway of the Sun. Many of these beasts began to evolve, much akin to the god kings selected by the flowers. Or actually, worse. We're gonna call these mutated beasts demons for now. These demons rampage, wreaking havoc upon the tribe, leading to an internal war between the Ndipaya and the demons. Eventually, though, currently not known how, the Ndipaya won the battle by sealing the demons within a sinkhole on the lower levels of the cavern. A horrible tradition was, of course, shortly born after, one where the Ndipayans began offering tributes in the form of human sacrifices to the demons below, all in hopes this would then appease them from another rampage. Although you may seal the gates of hell, they often do not remain shut, and in this very case, that rings more true than ever before, as eventually the demons below grew fed up with their imprisonment and escaped their prison to once again rampage upon the Ndipayan people. Legends state it was amid this second rampage the demons killed their current god king, of unknown name, mind you. This of their people then began to demoralize them, wholly to the point of retreat from their home of hundreds of thousands of years. Murals found depict this deadly event, though also that, without a present food source, the demons also began to devour each other into an extinction event very rapidly. Though this was not meant to be the end of their culture. Instead, the Ndipayan people fled back to their natural habitat and tribal homelands of the marshes. They then re-established their tribal society to protect their assets. They then declared a tribal law. This dictated all men of the age were to serve currently in their new people's army, which means basically anyone between the ages of 13 to 25 were forced to serve this duty out. Though that information is of course not fully disclosed, as the tribe did not keep records of their conscription. It was at this time their stories became those of myth, no more true than the gods of Greek or Egyptian societies. Part 1. The Progenitor's Modern Discovery and Origin of Umbrella. Sometime in 1952, a young medical student found himself half dead and stranded in the snowy mountains of what seems to be Romania. There, he's rescued and brought back to life by a figure known as Miranda. Together, they end up discussing their personal philosophies and their goals. While they did discuss their wants, it's revealed that she aims to use something known as the mold to further her own goals, which is bringing her dead daughter back to life. While the young student sees this as far too narrow of a goal and wishes to bring on the next step in human evolution. The student's realization causes him to leave the village he found himself in. 15 years later, that young man writes back to her that he had found his answer. A rare virus found in Africa, which will allow him to push evolution on all of humanity. The Progenitor Virus. Oswell E. Spencer was that student's name, an ambitious medical student who sought to impose his vision on all of the world. And, together with his friends and colleagues, they set out on an expedition in 1966, which they sought out the mythical sonotrope flower of Ndipaya folklore. This expedition, mind you, was inspired by the writings of a prior traveler in Africa, Henry Travis, who, of course, strangely enough, wrote an encyclopedia of his adventure, which conveniently held the stories of the Ndipayan people. And, of course, within their lore, they spoke of the flower, and they said it was something that could grant powers to those who eat of it. Yet, friend of Spencer, James Marcus, theorized it could instead be a mutagenic retrovirus causing these effects over the flower itself. Oswell, together with Brandon Bailey, Earl Spencer, Edward Ashford, and James Marcus, finally indeed did find the mythical flower sometime between 1966 and 1967. Their discovery proved Marcus's theory was in fact correct. Together, they all immediately formed the Umbrella Corporation, with the sole focus to study this virus, as well as sell bioweapons to the U.S. military to fund their special eugenics program using said virus. Part 2: How the virus works. How the progenitor virus works is just as most other viruses do. It's a submicroscopic infectious agent which can only replicate within the living cells of a host organism. Yet, this is not something that just makes us sick. It's also a genetic mutagen, which is either a physical or chemical agent which forces DNA to change in new and radical ways. These are called mutations. Within the host body, the progenitor virus rewrites the host DNA, causing a myriad of mutations. Rarely, however, did the virus ever enhance the host's natural capabilities. So, in most cases, instead of getting enhanced strength, speed, or intellect, you would instead get rapid cellular decay and, of course, death. Unpredictability like this was not a favored outcome, and of course made the virus unusable, at least to begin with. Instead, it laid the groundwork for everything Umbrella would create in its entirety. Unlike the viruses which descended from it, the progenitor virus is pure in nature, the raw materials needing to be refined, if you will. Yet, as a natural bioweapon, it was still very valuable and terrifying to behold when it did work. Part 3: Early Experiments and Umbrella. Shortly after the founding of Umbrella, the hurdles to leap were massive when it came to the progenitor virus. Yet, amid that, various breakthroughs were already being made. Firstly, Oswell E. Spencer recruited someone known as Dr. Wesker, and using both legitimate and illegitimate means, adopted hundreds of children deemed to be of a higher quality based on their parents' achievements. These children were nicknamed, or essentially had their names or surname changed to that of Wesker, and it was called the Wesker children. Of course, these children were raised with the best educations, and some even were naturally drawn to work at Umbrella, due to their raising and being molded to match and in fact believe in Spencer's ideals. But, of course, it was not until 1998 when this eugenics project finally entered stage 2. 13 total of the Wesker children were found to be the cream of the crop. Each of them were administered a more stable version of the progenitor virus in various ways. During this phase, 11 of 13 died due to the virus, leaving only 2 left. One of which was Albert Wesker, who received superhuman abilities after his administration during the mansion incident. And, of course, his sister, Alex Wesker, who inherited none of the powers due to having been already afflicted from a terminal and degenerative disease which initially infected her prior. Alex also made the suggestion that Phase 2 should be widened by infecting what she called the Washouts, who were deemed unfit to raise the number of the Wesker children and possibly create a more probable outcome in favor of Spencer. Yet, this idea, however, was blatantly ignored and honestly, let's just be thankful it was. This special prototype progenitor virus actually was a derivative of the other line of early research Umbrella had been conducting as a whole, the T-Virus. As with anything though, accidents, or miracles, sometimes occur in a lab. One such accident was the creation of the T-Virus as we know it. This new virus was created by combining the Progenitor Virus and leech DNA. It essentially created the first ever zombies in modern times. Yet, we will discuss the T-Virus in a later video as it takes on a far larger identity than what the Progenitor beholds. This project was headed by James Marcus. Yet, prior to the advent of the T-Virus as we know of it now, several other projects went on simultaneously in an attempt to force the Progenitor Virus to work for their benefit. One of which was the Spencer Project. Done separately from Project W, Spencer's project has his team attempting to create a prototype of what would later be called the T-Virus. While not much information is readily available, the testing did occur in the Arkley laboratory, and they were testing Type A and Type B strains of the Progenitor Virus. Yet, of course, Spencer ended up becoming dissatisfied with the work, and he decided to, take out his competition and steal their research data from his colleague. And, of course, this would end his own work in 1978 completely. Now, while Spencer and James had their work at hand, Ashford instead was quickly dealt with by Spencer when he orchestrated an outbreak at his laboratory which caused the death of Edward Ashford. And of course, this halted their development on their prototype version of the T-Virus development. And of course, this was halted all the way till the early 80s. Alexia Ashford then seized control of the project as the new head of the family, as she was a genetically modified clone of the founder of the family, the Ashford family to be specific, and was a clone of Veronica for those who do not know. Alexia's diligent work finally culminated in the splicing of the Veronica virus found within a queen ant into the Progenitor Virus's genome. Taking a highly radical approach to testing, Alexia then administers the T-Veronica virus into herself and then enters into a cryogenic sleep so she can properly fuse with the virus. This radical action led everyone to believe the project had in fact failed, and she also perished, much like Edward did. Part 4. Viral Descendants. While the Progenitor Virus itself is a mutagenic great-great-grandfather virus, it in itself is not the cause of many of the outbreaks. Instead, the children of it ravage the Earth due to human interference. First, the T-Virus is born, leading to the modern creation of bioweaponry. Secondly, the G-Virus is created by mixing T and the Progenitor Virus together over and over again. Third comes the T-Veronica virus, made by Alexia using ant DNA. Fourth is the Uroboros virus, Wesker's personal achievement. Fifth comes the C-Virus and its evolutionary form, which is born from the T-Veronica and G-Viruses. Sixth is the T-Phobos virus, Alex Wesker's special project. Seventh is the Animality virus, which combined the Progenitor and Plaga DNA to create controllable zombies. And this isn't even mentioning all the variants and combinations the viruses may form in later entries, each virus unleashing their own unique flavor of horror stories. Part 5. Spencer's Endgame and Legacy. For Oswell E. Spencer, the Progenitor Virus was his means to an end, a way to forcibly evolve humanity to a higher standing than what it was currently at. He envisioned a new world which would be led by those who survived his viral outbreaks, and of course adapted to his viruses. Yet, that vision was passed down to Albert Wesker, his chosen heir, which ironically was also his own demise. Under Wesker, the goal was nearly achieved when he created Uroboros in Resident Evil 5. Once again, using the Progenitor Virus as the primary basis over its descended man-made viruses. Being a refined strain of the Progenitor Virus, Uroboros was specifically designed to target the weak and remove them from the gene pool entirely. This was to ensure a new dominant species was created in place of the common man. Yet, like prior developments, it failed, as Wesker's own arrogance led to his own demise, as he was set to attain godhood among the New World Order. Yet, technically Wesker's legacy continues with his son, Jake Muller. Jake is a naturally born superior human, seemingly immune to the viruses and possessing enhanced speed, strength, and possibly intellect. Of course, we don't know because of his very poor upbringing. While Wesker's genetic legacy lives on, a perverse legacy under Spencer continues. Glenn Arias focuses only on the money to be made selling bioweapons over bringing in the New World Order, which would advance humans leading the way. Albeit he himself turns out to be capable of mutating into an intelligent monster himself. He creates what is known as the A virus, or animality, which of course is another progenitor derivative to cause chaos. Yet, before him, Alex Wesker used the Progenitor Virus as well. In this attempt, she created the T-Phobos virus, which, interestingly enough, only mutated males, and the females who succumbed to it violently died. Later, she imbues it within herself as well as Uroboros, which leads to her later death, at the hands of her own hubris. Or is it death? We'll discuss her more later on in a future video. The conclusion. As you can see here, the Progenitor Virus is more than some one-off plot device. It is in fact the genetic root of Resident Evil's horror, a natural miracle which is then abused and mutated by humanity's greedy want for power, control, and evolutionary goals. Every single outbreak, every mutation, every bioorganic weapon produced under Umbrella and Tricell owe their advancements to a single rare flower hidden deep within some ruins found in West Africa. Now, just because this video must end here, we must acknowledge that a common trope within the series itself. While we may come to an end, the evil never dies. It just evolves. Hey there guys, it's me, Protector Cross, your host with the most on Resident Evil. If you're interested in a full breakdown of the T-Virus or maybe any other Resident Evil material, please comment below and hit that subscribe button. We will be unraveling many of the mysteries of Resident Evil in the next chapter of this channel. Let's hope we go viral.